Good morning. So let start the topic on current affairs today. So the first topic that will take up is about the is a topic in geography and environment called the El Nino effect or the forecast of El Nino. Okay. So India is experiencing a colder than normal winter because the north-south winter flow set up by the climate phenomena called La Nina. Okay. So the opposite of El Nino and so El Nino and La Nina are current systems in the world. Okay, so this is winter because the north-south winter flow set by the climate phenomena known as La Nina. El Nino and La Nina are climate phenomena. Okay, they have impact on the climate of many countries, including India. The La Nina itself is going on for a record-breaking third consecutive year. Now, forecast for the 2023 fall and winter are predicting that there is a 50% possibility for its companion phenomena, the El Nino effect to occur. Okay, so there are two different climatic impact. Okay, ocean conditions influencing climate, one is El Nino, second is La Nina. There are two geographical terms, very peculiar term, which have their impact on the climate of the world. What is El Nino and La Nina? El Nino refers to a brand of warm water current spreading from west to east in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Remember this, El Nino is a warm water current, so spreading from west to east in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Point number one, El Nino, what it is? Warm water current. One, spreading from west to east. Point two, in the equatorial Pacific region. Point three. Remember the 3 points. Warm water current spreading from west to east in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. The year in which an El Nino occur are called El Nino year, and global weather pattern in that year tend to be anomalous with certain weights. It has its impact on the weather pattern of the world. Number 4. Fine. The year there is El Nino took place or happens, it is called the El Nino year, and the global weather pattern became anomalous in the El Nino year. The year where El Nino is active, so that led to change in the global weather pattern. Fine, and its opposite is La Nina. This means this is a warm weather condition. Okay, and the opposite is a cold weather condition. Fine. See, normal year. This is the normal year. This is the situation. In the El Nino year, see this warm how it is spreading from this into this direction. Okay. And it has its impact on the climate in India. Okay, warmer winter, cold water along the South American coast. This is the okay. Equatorial winds gather from water pool towards the west. Easterly winds weaken, warm water move to the eastward. The warm water move from the west to the eastward. Similarly, La Nina occurs when the band of water spreads east-west and is cooler. So El Nino is a warm water, La Nina is a cool water. Okay, it is a warm current, it is a cold current. There is a big difference between the two. One is a warm current, second is the cold current. El Nino is a warm current, La Nina is a cold current. Okay. So west and east cooler, both phenomena can have drastic effect on economies that depend on rainfall because both of the phenomena affect the rainfall and the climatic conditions over many part of the world. Okay. El Nino forecast before spring tend to be notoriously unreliable because the climate system is quite noisy in spring. The sun transitions across the equator from one hemisphere to the other, creating noise in predictions. However, in a La Nina year, tropical Pacific Ocean soak of heat and accumulates warm water. That means that led to spreading of the cold current. Fine. During the El Nino, this warm water spills from the western part of the Pacific Ocean to the eastern part. Earth has had three straight La Nina years, which means the Pacific warm water volume is fully loaded and likely to birth an El Nino soon. Okay, the warm current has been loaded, so there is a possibility of the starting of the El Nino effect from the coming year. An El Nino year creates a miniature global warming crisis. As you know, it is a warm current. So El Nino lead to warm weather conditions around the world. Fine. That is the importance. Okay. This affects the global climatic condition. Okay. So what will happen to cyclone formation and monsoons? A transition from La Nina winter to El Nino summer historically tends to produce a large monsoon deficit in order of 15%. That means the year El Nino is active, it has its impact on the monsoon and there is a drastic fall in rainfall to the tune of 15% or more. So more than 15% rainfall reduction is reported in the normal El Nino year. This means pre-monsoon and monsoon populations tend to be weaker in El Nino year. That means the year where El Nino is active, so there is a fall in rainfall around the world, especially monsoon rainfall, and its impact is severe on India because Indian agriculture even today is completely dependent on agriculture. It is very well said that Indian agriculture is a gamble of monsoon. The year monsoon is favorable, so rainfall is good, that lead to a bumper harvest. And the year monsoon is not regular, there is deficit or scanty rainfall, that year productivity of Indian agriculture is severely affected. Even after government so many steps to provide irrigation facility, monsoon rain is a major source of agricultural activity in India. So any deviation from the normal monsoon, okay, is a big check on the rainfall in the country source on the that agricultural activity. The vertical shear change in the intensity of wind from the surface to the upper atmosphere tend to be weaker as well. This in turn can favor enhanced cyclone formation. But the global climate system is not so simple. Interseasonal or subseasonal timescale variability in sea surface temperature and wind is also very important for cyclogenesis over the northern Indian Ocean. These timescales denote the duration for which certain temperature and wind characteristics persist in the pre and post monsoon period. The net effect is for cyclogenesis to be subdued in an El Nino year. Right. So that means So in the El Nino year, the possibility of rainfall is comparatively less. That is a major factor for which, so it is very well said that, so in India, that agriculture is completely dependent on monsoon, and so El Nino having its wider impact on the monsoon of India. So its regularity of the El Nino or La Nina, so is very significant for the Indian agricultural scenario. Fine. As far as monsoon, if an El Nino state does emerge by summer, it is likely have a deficit in 2023. Okay. So, what are the vertical shear change in the intensity of wind from the surface to the upper atmosphere tend to be weaker as well. This in turn can favor enhanced cyclone formation. But the global climate system is not so simple. Interseasonal or subseasonal timescale variability in sea surface temperature and wind is also very important for cyclogenesis over the northern Indian Ocean. These timescales denote the duration for which certain temperature and wind characteristics persist in the pre and post monsoon period. The net effect is for cyclogenesis to be subducted in the El Nino year. That means cyclones are less formed in the year of El Nino. As for monsoons, if an El Nino state does emerge by summer, it is likely have a deficit in 2023. Some research has indicated that Indian Ocean dipole, a season of the sea surface temperature over the tropical Indian Ocean, could compensate for the negative effect of an El Nino, but it does not yet know whether there is a robust relation between the dipole and the summer monsoon, nor whether the dipole will evolve the right way this year. Fine, that is what is the issue. Okay. Additionally, there are the monsoons vagaries themselves. For example, pre-monsoon cyclones are susceptible to warming in the Arctic region and could in turn affect the onset of summer monsoon. For another, the Bay of Bengal has of late been receiving fresh water from heavy rains and anomalous high river runoffs. These waters tend to sneak into Arabian Sea, produce surface warming and build up subsurface heat. These changes together make create favorable conditions for the formation of bigger and badder cyclones, especially if the circulation and the vertical shear are weak. All things considered, India will have to wait for the El Nino forecast to be updated in the coming time. So, if the El Nino impact remains that active even for this year, so I've been predicted that, so in 2023 Indian El Nino will be active. If El Nino remain active, it will have its own impact on the Indian monsoon. Okay, and Indian monsoon, as it is much dependent on the agriculture dependent on Indian monsoon. So any impact on, okay, the rainfall will severe impact on the climatic condition. That is why, so right now it has been decided that monsoon forecasting based on this El Nino is going to have its impact, and more forecasting will be coming in future, thereby projecting whether it is what will be its impact, okay, on the 2023 monsoon in India. Okay. So because you know monsoon has a important role in Indian agriculture and economy, so any impact due to El Nino or La Nina is taken very seriously by the economists, the climatologist, as well as the so who are in charge of forecasting weather for the country. Fine. Okay, so the next topic is the booster account, how they facilitate trade. Nostra account, booster account, Loro account, escrow account are special accounts. So let us discuss about these things. Recently, government officials informed that 20 Russian banks, including Rosbank, Tinkoff Bank, Centro Credit Bank of Moscow, have opened special rupee booster account. Remember this? What they have opened? They have opened in Indian Bank special rupee booster account with partner bank in India. All major domestic banks have listed their nodal officers to sort out issue faced by the exporters under the agreement. Okay, because in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, so there is sanction on Russia. Okay, and Russian currency yuan. Okay, Russian currency. Okay, is not an internationally acceptable currency. Okay, because what are the international? So one is USD, dollar of USA, euro, okay, yen, and pound. Russian currency, ruble, is not yet an international currency. So how to make payment in case of the Russia-India trade? That depend upon any of these currency, and sanction on that USD, euro, and pound has to some extent affected the trade. That is why Russia and India decided to open some booster account in India by which trade between India and Russia can be conducted. Fine. But it is that this is the special rupee booster account. SRB stands for special rupee booster account. This is special rupee booster account. What is the special rupee booster account? A booster account is an account that domestic bank hold for foreign banks in the former's domestic currency in case rupee. Read it again. Booster account is an account that domestic bank means an Indian bank holds for a foreign bank, so Bank of Russia, in former's domestic currency means Indian currency. Domestic bank use it to provide international banking services to their client who have global banking needs. And here the domestic bank means Indian bank will provide international banking to traders, service to their client who have global banking needs, means those will do business import and export with Russia. Fine. Clear? What is a booster account? Okay. It is an integral offshoot of correspondent banking that entitles a bank or an intermediary to facilitate wire transfer, conduct business transactions, accept deposits, and gather documents on behalf of the other bank. It helps domestic bank gain wider access to foreign financial market and serve international clients without having to be physically present abroad. The special rupee booster account is an additional agreement arrangement with the existing system that uses freely convertible currency and work as a complementary system. So we have a freely convertible currency system like rupee ruble trade agreement we have, but this is over and above the rupee ruble trade. We have a rupee ruble trade agreement, but this agreement usually limited amount can be done under this, but so annual limit is fixed. But in case of this booster account, okay, so it is booster account, it is unlimited. For respective free convertible currencies refer to currencies permitted by rules and regulations of the concerned country to be converted into major reserve currency like US dollar or pound sterling, and for which a fairly active market exists for dealing against major currencies. The existing system does require maintaining balances and position in such currencies. Okay, and this has been agreed between the two sides to overcome the limitations set on. You see, Vostro account debited, exports account credited. Nostro account, Vostro account. Bank. So this is a foreign bank. This is an Indian bank. Okay, export will be in Indian rupee, and this will also purely Indian banks will deal with the export and import of the country. Okay, this picture very clear. This picture shows clarity on the transaction pattern. Fine. How does it function? The framework entitles three important components, namely invoicing, exchange rate, settlement. Three things. One is invoicing. Invoicing of what? The amount trading. Invoice of the product price. Exchange rate at what rate? 1 rupee compared to ruble. Okay. Then settlement. So how this will be settled? At what rate and at what amount settled of transaction. Fine. Invoicing entails that all export and imports must be denominated and invoiced in INR, Indian rupee. The exchange rate between the currency of the trading partners country could be market determined. That means between the rupee and ruble will market determined. To conclude, the final settlement also take place in the Indian national rupee. That is the settlement. It will be done in Indian rupee. This is the situation. Fine. The authorized domestic dealer bank, those authorized to deal with foreign exchange, are required to open SRVA accounts, special rupee hoster accounts, for correspondent banks of the partner trading country. Domestic importers are required to make payment, okay, in Indian rupee into the special rupee hoster account of the correspondent bank against the invoice for supply of goods or services from the overseas seller suppliers. Similarly, domestic exporters have to be paid the export proceeds in Indian rupee from the balance in the designated accounts of the correspondent bank of the partner country. So everything will be dealt in Indian rupee. As for availing an advance against export, it would be the responsibility of the domestic bank to accord foremost priority to ensuring that the available funds are used to meet existing payment obligations, that is from the already executed export orders or export payments in the pipeline. All reporting of cross-border transactions are to be done in accordance with the extant guidelines under the Foreign Exchange Management Act, FEMA 1999. Right? And for availing an advance against the export, it could be responsibility of the domestic bank to accord foremost priority to ensuring that the available funds are used to meet existing payment obligations. That is from the already executed export order or export payments in the pipeline. All reporting cross-border transactions are to be done in accordance with the exact guideline of the Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999. What is the eligibility criteria for the bank? Bank from partner countries are required to approach an authorized domestic dealer bank for opening the special rupee booster account. The domestic bank would then seek approval from the FX banking regulator like the RBI, providing details of the agreement. It would be the responsibility of the domestic bank to ensure that the correspondent bank is not from any country mentioned in the updated financial action task force public statement on high risk or non cooperative jurisdiction, like those banks, those countries who are in the grey list or blacklist of the FATF. FATF is the apex global body which looks after money laundering and terror funding. Fine. Okay. So those banks from those countries are strictly prohibited from getting any financial support. So these banks need to be not given the permission to open the nostro bostro account. Fine. In a domestic economy. So all these factors are taken into consideration before launching of the special schemes or the special accounts like the nostro account, bostro account. Okay, for making international business uh, convenient. Okay, in case of any international sanction on any particular country. So coming to the genesis, so why this there is a need for opening this Vostra account by Russian bank? Because after the Russia-Ukraine war, so the international community has imposed sanction on Russia, and import and export with Russia is becoming difficult. And as India is importing huge amount of petroleum oil from Russia in the ongoing war period, so settlement of the due is a big issue between India and Russia, because it is not being done in international currency, because uh, what is the clearing house function as is being done. So they have imposed sanction on Russia, and even Russia has been removed the SWIFT banking operation. So that has compelled the government of Russia and India to start this special booster account, booster account in Indian banks, by which this activity will be smoothly conducted. Fine. It was the responsibility of the domestic bank to ensure that the correspondent bank is not from a country mentioned in the updated Financial Action Task Force public statement on high risk or non-cooperative jurisdiction. Like it was, it has put the country like Pakistan in the grey list earlier, recently updated it from the list. Then it has put North Korea and Iran in the black list. Okay, so this is where, so it needs to be done, verification to be done before allowing this set of activity or set of account to open in the bank. Fine. Authorized banks can open multiple special rupee booster accounts for different banks from the same country. Further balances in the account can be repatriated in freely convertible currency or currency of the beneficiary partner country depending on the underlying transaction, that is for which the account was credited. What is the purpose? The Economy Survey 2023 had argued that framework would largely reduce the net demand for foreign exchange, the US dollar in particular, for the settlement of current account deficit uh, related trade flow. Because India is a major importing country, so India witnessed a huge current account deficit. You can say that with China we have $100 billion current account deficit. The trade balance between India and China is of $100 billion, and the $100 billion India has to pay to China in American dollar. Similarly, India being a major importing country, so India has to settle its debt or its current account deficit with foreign country in the international acceptable currency. That increases India's dependence on American dollar. To reduce the dependence on dollar, this is the arrangement being made. Okay. We added that the framework would also reduce the need for holding foreign exchange reserve and dependence on foreign currencies, making the country less vulnerable to external shock. Okay, because the dependence on internationally acceptable currency will be reduced, so the shock arising out of this will be reduced to a considerable extent in this particular situation. Fine. Indian exporter could get advance payment in Indian rupee from overseas clients, and in the long term promote Indian rupee as an international currency on the rupee settlement mechanism. gain traction, the survey argue, because if Indian rupee is transacted and accepted by, okay, by the many countries of the world. Okay, so it may lead to that Indian rupee getting accreditation as an international acceptable currency in future. As per the Bureau of Indian Settlement, okay, so we are in Bureau of International Settlement, the Perennial Central Bank Survey 2022. Okay, US dollar was the most dominant vehicle current accounting for 80% all trades between India with the outside world. Fine. So this put the unnecessary pressure on India. Okay. As per the Bureau of International Standard Settlement, so a triennial central bank survey 2022, US dollar was the most dominant vehicle currency, accounting for 88% of the all trades. The INR account for 1.6%. Fine. Only. So where that American dollar accounts for 88% in all trade, so Indian rupee is only 1.6%. See the comparison. So 88 vis-a-vis 1.8. This is USD, this is Indian rupee. Okay. So this shows the weakness of Indian rupee in comparison to American dollar. So this booster account will to some extent eliminate the situation, and there is a chance possibility of Indian rupee getting importance in international transactions. Okay, then comes, so the next topic is how to save our high sea from overfishing and pollution. While the high sea make up more than 60% of the world ocean, they have long drawn for less attention than coastal water. The UN wants to protect them in global treaty. Okay, coastal water are extremely exploited for fishery, for transportation, for so many activity. Fine, but the high sea is to be maintained in its pristine natural state for the marine creature. Okay, but sea lanes are being used for trading activity. It has also been polluted, and the means advanced trawler system, they venture to the high sea to fishing purposes. That makes that lead to more and more pollution. Vast part of the world ocean are still in the White West, which it comes to conservation. Fishing, shipping, tourism, and ocean protection are currently controlled by around 20 organizations. However, the regulations only apply to distance of 200 nautical miles or 370 kilometers from the coast, because that is the exclusive economic zone. Okay, you see, two things you must remember. So from the shoreline, so 12 nautical miles is the territorial water, and 200 nautical miles is the exclusive economic zone. Okay, this is the so this is the exclusive, this is the territorial water of the country, so no one can enter, but this one is for exploration. So this is under the control of the International Seabed Authority. Okay, fishing, shipping, tourism, and ocean protection are currently controlled by around 20 organizations. However, the regulations only apply to distance of 20 nautical miles from the coast. Further out, international water starts, and individual states do not have any power or say over the international water beyond 200 nautical miles. Although the high sea make up more than half of the surface of the earth and 61% of the ocean, only 1% of the international water are under protection. Rest are also being misused. Fine. Illegal fishing, overfishing, and other forms of damage to the ecosystem, such as deep sea mining, oil and gas drilling, can hardly be monitored, tracked, or prosecuted in a consistent way. Government officials in 51 countries want to know negotiate the High Sea Treaty at the United Nations in New York. The treaty has been in the work for years and is supposed to protect species and allocate the ocean resources in a sustainable way, because ocean belong to the marine creatures, so they should be protected in their own that in situ preservation, so they should be given their own freedom to do it. Human intervention should be least in the deep sea, but human greediness is increasing and it is venturing to high sea, or and that exploiting, that is hampering their lifestyle, life system. So United Nations SDG, Sustainable Development Goal, okay, has one target called life in water. So the life system inside the water is to be protected. This is the SDG goal of UNGA to be achieved between 2015 to 2030. Okay, this is also a part of that target. Why is a healthy underwater world so important for human or for planet? The resources of the ocean do not just sustain coast dwellers, but almost 3 billion people worldwide. The entire sea industry has a worth of 3 trillion. That is 5% of the world's gross domestic product. The ocean is not just important for beach, tourist, and fishery. We also need it in order to generate sustainable wave and tidal energy, as well as for the production of commodity and even medicines. Some agents used to fight leukemia, for instance, are derived from the shallow water sponge called the Tethys crapta, which can be found in the waters of the Caribbean Sea. Okay, it's not only a source of food, energy, but also its medicine. The poison of the fish-eating sea snail, Conus magnum, is being used to develop an effective painkiller. Many similar possibilities have yet to be explored, but scientists see a huge potential for the treatment of disease in from the resources collected from the ocean. While climate change is stressful for ocean, more than half of the total amount of oxygen in our atmosphere is created by the creatures in the ocean. So this is important. What? See, very important. Okay. Okay, so more than half of the total amount of oxygen in the atmosphere is created by the creatures in the ocean. At the same time, ocean stores 50 times more carbon. These two remember, things remember. 50% normal amount of oxygen is emitted by the creatures in the ocean, and 50 times more carbon is absorbed, carbon dioxide, than the water currently found in our atmosphere. The warmer the ocean get, the less CO2 it can store. Okay. Okay, so the warmer the ocean get, the lesser carbon dioxide it can store. It is a vicious cycle. The warmer it gets, the less our ocean can protect the planet from even more extreme weather events. So see, so we feel that we can pollute the ocean, we can warm it the way we like, and it would not retaliate. But right now, it has been reported that, it has been reported that, okay, so the more we destroy the oceanic atmosphere, its ecology, its negative impact will be on life system on land, and among them the most brilliant creature, human being, will be the worst sufferer, because it is trying to destroy the marine ecosystem since so many years. Okay, so this is the situation. So we have to be very cautious about this. If temperature keep increasing at their current speed, scientists believe many shellfish such as the mussels and snails will not survive. That is due to ocean acidification. If CO2 content in the seawater increases, the pH level in the water changes. The increasing acidity hampers the creation of the chalky cell of the animals. This throws entire biosphere of balance and could threaten entire economic sectors such as the breeding of oysters and the mussels. The rising temperature in the atmosphere triggered by the burning of coal, oil and gas also change ocean current and the water get warmer. This can already mean death of many creatures such as the corals. Coral live in a symbiosis with colorful algae, which help feed them. The warmer of the water can lead to algae death, which means more stress on for the corals, leading to many losing their color. which is also known as the coral bleaching. And coral bleaching is a phenomena which has been reported over the many coral rich areas. Okay, so this is coral bleaching is a big event right now. It has destroyed many coral rich areas. According to estimate by the UNESCO, if nothing changes, half of the all sea dwellers will be critically endangered by the end of this century. This does not necessarily mean we cannot use the ocean any longer. It just means we have to use it in a way that does not harm it, or at least only harm it to the extent that it can regenerate on its own. Every year, we toss away 10 million tons of fish that could fill more than 550 swimming pools because of bad fishing practices and processing. This could be prevented and in turn directly decrease pressure on our ocean. See, okay, we toss away. That means we capture it but just throw it away because so we don't use it. Okay, in the processing, in the fishing practice of processing. Okay. Okay, so if this is judicious use of the fishing in the ocean is resorted, so the small fishes or the young generations can survive to grow to adult for capturing during the exact period. Okay, another example is sewage. Around 80% of the global wastewater is currently being diverted into ocean unfiltered. In the poorest country of the world, it is even up to 95%. This seawater pollutes, contaminates, and destroys ocean and coastal region. Building sustainable sewage system, especially in the developing country, could protect ocean ecosystem and contribute to better drinking water supply in many places. Will a new treaty help? According to the United Nations Environment Program, international treaty are one of the best way to stop the destruction of ocean. So because ocean are linked with each other, so they don't have any boundary to, although they are in different name differently, but there is no such clear cut boundary between them. So they can be properly maintained with international support. And an international treaty in this direction will definitely play a very proactive role in. Okay, so definitely a new treaty accepted globally will open a new chapter to protect the marine ecosystem and also the universe. Many treaties have been signed in recent years regarding the protection of coastal regions. Some have already been a positive effect on the environment, the CRZ conditions in India. Many, however, may not been able to reach their goals. That has to be do with the fact that agreement are always dependent on national parliaments turning them into law and allocating enough resources to institutions and projects so the goal can be achieved. So international treaty needs approval by जो एसी टा केतेरे जीवो एसी 200 200 ना 300 200 टा पकेइतली हमर से गलत रा आपण कहितले ना एसी 200 हां एसी रा सांकर के
ଆପଣ କହିଲେ କି ନଈକୁ ବୋଧେ ଏଇଟା ପକେଇ ଦେଇଛୁ
ये सब अच्छे 200 वाला
ହଁ ମୁଁ ଆପଣ ତ ଲିଖି ଦେଇଥିଲି
200 वाला
ହଁ ଲିଖିଛି
ଏଇଟା ସବୁ 100 वाला
ଏଇଟା କ୍ଲାସ୍ ଟେଷ୍ଟ 100
नहीं जो वाला पार्ट टेस्ट पूरा
ହଁ ଏମିତି କରିଛି ଓକେ ଆପଣ କେତେବେଳେ ସରିବ ସାର୍ ଟିକେ ଦେଖି ଦେଇଥାନ୍ତୁ
देखो आप टाइप कर नहीं आसो
हाँ
किसी और पढ़वा कर नहीं आसो okay the European Union is pushing for an ambitious new treaty for species protection and the implementation of the historic 2022 Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. Part of this historic agreement is to put 30% of the global under protection until 2030. Meanwhile, 18 developing and emerging nations are pushing for the introduction of a mechanism that guarantee the fair distribution of ocean resources. Fine. Then the next topic is millions in India, Pakistan at risk following glacial lakes. Okay. Okay, so around 15 million people across the world face the risk of sudden and deadly flooding from glacial lakes, which are expanding and rising in number due to global warming. According to the new study, more than half of those who could be impacted live in four countries: India, Pakistan, Peru, and China. Glacial lakes result from sinking glaciers. When the water is released from them, it could cause flooding in the downstream area. This is known as glacial lake outburst floods or GLOF. Although GLOF have been taking place since the ice age, the risk has increased multifold due to the climate change. Researchers of the latest study say because global warming lead to more melting of the glaciers and more number of glacial lakes, and they are bursting to lead to flood. The GLOF can prove to be catastrophic as they mostly arrive while little warning and result in large scale destruction of property, infrastructure, and agricultural land. They can also lead to death of hundreds of people. According to the co-author of the paper, as the climate continue to warm, glacier retreat will form larger and more numerous lakes. At the same time, lakes are likely to become more exposed to GLOF triggers such as large landslides or ice avalanche entering the lake, displacing water and causing the natural dam that impounds the lake to fall. So lakes that perhaps are not a concern at present may become a concern in future. The entirely new and potentially dangerous lake may form. According to 2020 study, the number and total area of glacial lakes worldwide has increased by about 50% since 1990 due to the global warming and melting of the glaciers. Okay. What are the findings of the new study? In order to identify the area and community that are most in danger from the GLOF, the researchers use existing satellite-derived data on different locations and sites of glacial lakes with a global population model and a series of population metrics. Researchers made a conservative estimate that anyone living within 50 kilometer around glacial lake and 1 kilometer of a river that originates from the glacial lake could be impacted either directly or indirectly if one or more of the lakes upstream failed. Moreover, the researcher also looked at level of human development and corruption in these zones to determine how vulnerable local community may be when flood occurs in the local areas. The paper estimated that 15 million people live within the 50-kilometer danger zone of glacial lakes. Okay. It asks that population in high mountain Asia, the region stretching from the Hindu Kush all the way to eastern Himalayas, are the most exposed and on average like closest to glacial lake within around 1 million people living within 10 kilometers of the glacial lakes. India and Pakistan make one third of the total number of people globally exposed to GLOF. Around 3 million people in India and around 2 million people in Pakistan are exposed to this danger. Another interesting finding of the study is that glacial flood risk do not only depend on the size and number of glacial lake in an area, but also matter each the number of people living in the area, their proximity to the danger zone, as well as the level of social vulnerability. For instance, area like the Greenland and Canada, which have a large number of glacial lakes, have very few people who are vulnerable to GLOF as their population corruption level are low. While the number of and size of glacial lakes in this area, India and Pakistan, is not as large as in the place like Pacific Northwest of Tibet, it is that extremely large population and the fact that they are highly vulnerable. That mean Pakistan and India have some of the highest GLOF danger globally. In fact, The most dangerous catchment in the world, according to study, is the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in Pakistan. However, the most surprising bit for the scientists was to find Peru ranking third globally in danger level. In the past 2 decades, due to climate change, glacier lake across the Andes have increased by 93% in comparison to 37% in high mountain Asia. Yet most of the previous studies done in the field have confused or focused on the Himalayas rather than the Andes. Okay, so what exactly are glacial lakes, outburst flood, and GLOF? Glacial lake are large body of water that sit in front of or top of or beneath a melting glacier. As they grow larger in size, they become more dangerous because glacial lakes are mostly dammed by unstable ice or sediment composed of closed rock and debris. In case the boundary around them break, huge amount of water rush down the side of the mountain, which could cause flooding in the downstream area. This is called glacial lake outburst flood or GLOF. GLOF can be triggered by several reasons, including earthquakes and ice avalanche. The lakes are also often found in steep mountainous regions, which means landslide or ice avalanche can sometimes fall directly into the lake and displace the water, causing it to overtop the natural dam and flood the downstream area in a very rapid manner. Okay, see, landslide, glacial lakes are like this, avalanche, lake flow, and the flood. So they have been protected with very poor embankment, natural embankment. Okay, and if so, landslide took place, avalanche took place. Okay, this glacial lake may overstep their boundary walls and may the wall may be breached. Okay, or lake may overflow. Okay, because so more water accumulated due to this avalanche or landslide will make the water to overflow, and in case the wall around it is breached, that also may lead to heavy flood, sudden flood in the area, affecting huge number of people who are living very close proximity to it. In 2013, one such event took place in Uttarakhnd's Kedarnath, in the region witnessed flash flood along the GLOF caused by the uh, Chorab Tal Glacier Lake, killing thousands of people. So, this is an instance in India where this Kedarnath incident in Uttarakhand, the Kedarnath massive ecological disturbance took place. Okay, so we should learn from that and try to be very careful and try to make the people aware about the dangers and the danger zones where they are living, and try to make adequate arrangement so their life is protected at least. Fine. Then how can GLOF be prevented? According to researchers, reducing the risk of GLOF is complex and no single solution could work. Limiting climate change and keeping warming under 1.5 degrees Celsius is a big one, and this will be help slow the growth of glacial lakes. You see, reducing the global temperature 1.5 degrees Celsius is the agreement at the Paris Climate Agreement signed in 2015. The global community agreed that we will try to keep the global climate uh, means the reduction of the temperature by 1.5 to 2 degrees centigrade. Okay, so this is the ambitious target set by the global community for itself. Okay, so if they will be able to achieve it, then it is good that they will be able to. Okay, so limiting climate change and keeping warming under 1 degree is one such conditions, and the second condition you can say is that there is a need to find effective measure by working with national and regional governments as well as community themselves. This includes working at the local level and finding appropriate measure for the threatened populations. So those who are affected severely, they must be taken into consideration, and their views should be considered before taking any measure that will uh, that has a bigger impact on them. Okay, so new START treaty. There another topic, international topic. Okay, strategic arm reduction treaty. Russia president announced that Russia is suspending its participation in the new START treaty, the last remaining major military agreement with the United States. START treaty, of the strategic arms reduction treaty, is a bilateral treaty between India and between Russia and USA to reduce their strategic weapons. Okay, strategic arms reduction treaty. Fine. So START stands for the original strategic arms reduction treaty known as START 1, which was signed between USA and Eastern USSR in 1991 and came into force in 1994. START 1 capped the number of nuclear warhead and intercontinental ballistic missiles that each side could deploy 6,000 and 1,600 respectively. 6,000, okay, and 1,000. Okay, so 1,600 respectively. 6,000 of the what intercontinental that nuclear warheads and 1,600 intercontinental ballistic missiles. These two limitations. So this 6,000 is about the nuclear warheads. This is about the intercontinental ballistic missiles (ICBMs) limit, and rest them dismantle. This agreement lapsed in 2009 and is replaced first by the Strategic Offensive Reduction Treaty, short, also known as the Treaty of Moscow, and then by the New START Treaty, called the START Treaty. The New START officiated the treaty between the United States and the Russian Federation on measures for the further reduction and limitation of strategic offensive arms, entered into force on February 5, 2011. It replaced new verifiable limits and intercontinental range of nuclear weapons. The US and Russia Federation subsequently agreed to extend the treaty through February 4th, 2026 up to 2026. Fine. How is compliance with the treaty ensured? The treaty provides for 18 on-site inspection per year for US and Russian inspection teams. Okay, but it covers intercontinental ballistic missiles. An intercontinental ballistic missile is a ballistic missile with a range greater than 5,500 kilometers. It is like Agni is India's only ICBM. Okay, Agni 5, but Agni 1, 2, 3, 4 are not ICBM, they are IRBM, intermediate range ballistic missiles. But the Agni 5 is the ICBM of India. Okay, then it has the range, so any missile with a range beyond 5,500 km is called an ICBM. It is primarily designed for nuclear weapon delivery. The only known country to have operational ICBM are Russia, USA, China, France, India, UK, Israel, North Korea. India's ICBM Agni 5 is an Indian nuclear capable intercontinental ballistic missile developed by DRDO. The missile can have a range of 5,000 to 5,500 km. As per the specification, any missile with a range of 5,500 km is called an intercontinental ballistic missile. Right? So then the Supositma, the Prime Minister of India has raised the Lok Sabha Speaker to promote mother and child health under the Supositma initiative. In March 2020, the Lok Sabha Speaker launched the Supositma Abhiyan, intending to create a malnutrition-free India in Kota, Rajasthan. The Union Women and Child Development Minister presided over the event. The Lok Sabha Speaker informed that under this Abhiyan, 1,000 women could be given food item for 1 month. At the same time, the health of the child, including medical examination, blood test, medicines, and delivery, could be covered. 1,000 kits of a 70 kg balanced diet were provided to 1,000 pregnant women in the first phase of the campaign to monitor them under close observation to ensure how this program is being successful. Under the program, the identified women could be required to register on the website for adoption. Only one pregnant woman could be adopted from a family. In May 2022, the Lok Sabha Speaker launched the second phase of the Supositma Abhiyan in Kota, Rajasthan. Under the second phase, 3,000 women are given nutrition kit for 9 months. So this is being experimented and its results depend in future that government may launch it in a holistic manner all over the country. Fine. This is what. Then coming to the question answer discussion, what is the solar radiation management? Discuss the challenges associated with using solar radiation management for reducing global warming. Okay, solar radiation management or solar geoengineering, as it is called, is a large category of diverse climate engineering approaches that mitigate or reverse global warming by reflecting sunlight into space before it is absorbed by the environment and converted into heat.
Is there also
Okay, so what is solar radiation management? Solar radiation management or solar geoengineering is a large category of diverse climate engineering approach that mitigate or reverse global warming by reflecting sunlight into space before it is absorbed by the environment and converted to heat. It acts as a temporary measure to limit the warming of Earth. The solar radiation management principle advantage are the speed with which it could be deployed and become active and the reversibility of its direct climate effect. Fine. So various approach to solar radiation management. Space-based geoengineering. The main goal of space-based geoengineering is to reduce global temperature to pre-industrial or pre-fossil fuel level. It consists of the development of objects in space that can block or reflect sunlight away from the planet. And then stratospheric aerosol injection. The approach involves spraying a reflective sulfate aerosol particles into the stratosphere with high altitude aeroplanes, tethered balloons, high altitude beams or artillery. Marine cloud brightening. This approach focuses on increasing the reflectivity of the albedo of marine clouds by shedding them with seawater aerosols. It could make cloud brighter, reflecting a small fraction of the incoming sunlight back into the space in order to offset anthropogenic global warming. Fine. Challenges as with the SRM approach. Unintended consequences. The overall climate and environmental response to SRM approach are not well characterized. All proposed approaches have the potential of unintended negative consequences for both environmental and human system. Many impact regional climate. The temperature projection by the climate model is more suitable at the continental scale and not at the regional scale. Large scale aerosol injections in the atmosphere could lead to local imbalance in radioactive forcing the and cause regional climate shift and impact the precipitation and the hydrological cycle of a particular area. Okay, because we are interfering into the natural system, so this may have its negative impact on the natural ecosystem. Fine. That's it. रंजन ठीक है 5-7 मिनट बस हाँ ठीक है वेट क्लास दे और टाइम क्लास परसों से okay, so the application of SRM technique will have global so okay, a sudden increase in the stratospheric sulfate aerosol could strongly enhance the chemical loss of stratospheric polar zone for several decades. The concentration of aerosols can also enhance the ability of residual chlorine left from the legacy of chlorofluorocarbon used to damage the ozone layer. The application of SRM techniques will have global consequences, and due to this there are grave concern about the science and governance issue of SRM. Currently, no widely agreed upon international governing body or legal regulatory framework exists to govern the testing to develop the SRM method. But this is just under discussion. But you see, we are interfering with the natural system, so this is not good. But human mind is always inquisitive to know something different, to do something different. But it has its negative as well as positive impact. Impact on developing the low income country. The technique used are expensive and require heavy investment in R&D, which may developed country could afford. This may negatively impact the intents of the global south, which is already facing the consequences of the industrial revolution and the resulting global warming caused by the north countries, the rich countries, okay, where the industrial revolution development is started fast. Those involved in developing SRM approach must clearly and explicitly report the science and technology of these approaches along with their consequences. There should be a compensation mechanism in case of any harm. Develop and evaluate system of governance that provide model for decision making about whether, when and how to intentionally intervene in the climate system. Measures and evaluate public attitude and test communication approach to effectively inform and engage the public in decision making. The focus should be on developing an integrated effort that can consider the physical, ecological, technological, social, and ethical issues related to SRM. Therefore, the focus should be on bringing the various stakeholders involved together so that the development, monitoring, verification, reporting of the SRM techniques can be made democratic and inclusive. Right. Then coming to the questions, the first one. The initiative called Suposhit Ma Abhijan was launched in 2020 by Prime Minister Japan Indian campaign. The main objective of this campaign is to keep pregnant women and mothers newborn healthy. So here only it is not pan India. It was in limited basis and experimental basis, limited area. Okay, first 1,000 women, then second phase of 3,000 women. So it is not pan India. So only two is correct, one is incorrect. Consider the following statement regarding nuclear non-proliferation. Only 4 countries have gone on to test the developed nuclear arsenal after enforcement of the NPT. The only surviving arms control treaty between Russia and USA is the New START treaty. Here, both are correct. Fine. And the following feature related to the glacial lake outburst flood (GLOF) involves sudden release of meltwater, failure of the moraine and ice dam, large downstream discharge causing flood. So all the three are correct here. 1, 2, 3. Answer is D. With reference to United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea, consider the following statement. A coastal state has the right to establish the breadth of its territorial sea up to a limit of not exceeding 12 nautical miles. Measures from the baseline determined in accordance with the convention. Ships of all states, whether coastal or landlocked, enjoy the right of innocent passage through the territorial water. The exclusive economic zone shall not extend beyond 200 nautical miles from the baseline from which the breadth of the territorial sea is measured. Fine. In case of 4, 1, all the 3 are correct. Fine. While reference to Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, under this framework, countries agreed to protect 30% of the land and water considered important for biodiversity by 2030. The framework has been made legal binding on the member country due to failure of the Aichi target. So here only 1 is correct, but 2 is not correct. These have not been made legally binding, right? So all the international treaty cannot be legally made binding because sovereignty of the country will be affected by that. So with reference to Vostro account, so Indian import can pay for that import in Indian rupee into Vostro account. Vostro account is an account that a correspondent bank holds on behalf of another bank. Okay. Cool. Okay. So with reference to Vostro account, and the following statement, Indian import can pay. Okay. Question number 6. So it is both 1 and 2 are correct for this. Vostro accounts. Vostro account is opened by a foreign bank in Indian bank only to do transaction for export and import in the country of the domestic economy like Indian. Because of the Russia-Ukraine war, there is sanction on Russian trading activity in the payment clearing houses function has been stopped. So this account is opened by Russian banks, many Russian banks in Indian banks, so the trade can be continued. With reference to El Nino, the following statement, El Nino is merely an extension of the warm equatorial current. Fine. It is used in India for forecasting long range monsoon rainfall. Okay. And option 3, They appear once every 3 to 7 years. So all the three are correct. Fine. The term SDC SW18, SD 3410, SD3385 often mentioned in New York. All are variety of wheat. Okay. So with reference to Malabar exercise, so it is a multilateral war gaming naval exercise. It began as a bilateral exercise between the Navy of India and Australia. Navy of all member nations of the quadrilateral security dialogue are participating in this. Here it is between only three is incorrect and one and three are correct. Two is incorrect. International mother language day is related, and the theme for this is multilingual lingual education necessity to transform education. Okay, so this answer is A. So this way your today's discussion is over. Thank you for watching this. So regularly you continue to watch to be updating yourself on the developments. Bye.